Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta. That little melody Travis played is the melody to the choir's song that he didn't tell me in the first service. I was like, what is he playing for 3 notes until I noticed. So glad you are here with us. I want to introduce the Reverend Carlton Smith, who's joining us this morning from the southern region of UUA. So happy he's here. Our first hymn before you can go off and watch the Super Bowl. I just decided between services that I'm cheering for the 49ers. They have the first female coach ever in the Super Bowl, an assistant coach. I think that's exciting. And I have no dog in that fight, so sure, 49ers, go, whatever. Some of you might just be listening to Wait, Don't Tell Me podcasts, whatever, you know. It's UU Church, it's great. Our first hymn this morning is I'm on my way to the Freedom Land, and we do it in a little Southern gospel style, which means it's a call and response song. So if I sing, I'm on my way, you sing, I'm on my way. Exactly, and if I sing, I'm on my way, you sing, I'm on my way. You got it, you're doing very, very well. Fantastic, that's how it goes. And then the very last line, if you think up there, I'll sing the first, I'm on my, and then together we sing, way. Great God, I'm on my way. So I sing, I'm on my way. Great God, I'm on my way. And it's a great opportunity to try singing harmonies. So you can sing, harmonies means you sing any note, and if it sounds good, you keep singing it. You just keep singing that note, it works. And then once it starts to sound bad, sing a different one, right? That's it. Like that's harmony singing. It is not difficult. People say, how do you learn to sing harmony? I say, you just sing other notes. See what comes out. Let us rise together in body or in spirit and sing, I'm on my way to the Freedom Land. I'm on my way, I'm on my way to the Freedom Land. Got it. I'm on my way. I'm on my way to the Freedom Land. To the Freedom Land. I'm on my way. I'm on my way to the Freedom Land. To the Freedom Land. I'm on my way. There you go. Great God, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. I asked my brother, come and go with me. Come and go with me. I asked my brother, come and go with me. I asked my brother to come and go with me. Come and go with me. I'm on my way. Great God, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I asked my sister to come and go with me. I asked my sister to come and go with me. Come and go with me. I asked my sister if she would come and go with me. Come and go with me. Yeah, I'm on my way. Great God, I'm on my way. I asked my cousin if they would come and go with me. Come and go with me. I asked my cousin to come and go with me. Come and go with me. I asked my cousin to come and go with me. I'm on my way, great God, I'm on my way. If they said no, then I'll go alone. glad you are here. It is the best place to be in Atlanta, Georgia on a Sunday morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta, a beloved community that changes lives. I'm Doris White, and I'm so glad to be here with you this morning. Wherever you're from, whomever you love, you're welcome here. If this is your first time or if you've not yet had a chance, please stop by our Welcome Center in the social hall after the service to allow us to get to know you a little better. You can sign up to receive information about services and programs being presented over the next several weeks. All visitors and guests are invited to attend the weekly Inquirers class at 12:30 p.m. in room 1, just off the sanctuary. This week, the Inquirers will be discussing faith development for children and adults. Also today at 12:30 here in the sanctuary, you are invited to come to the first in a 2-part series, Exploring and Sharing Our Strength, facilitated by UUCA lay minister Sonia Tinsley Hook. In this interactive workshop, we will explore the science of character strengths and how using our strengths help us create positive relationships with others, increase resilience and confidence, and achieve personal goals and contribute to our communities in personal, meaningful ways. You will learn how to identify and reconnect with your top 5 character strengths and explore how we can help our UUCA community become a place of strengths in which we recognize and encourage the unique strengths we each have. This Wednesday morning, February 5th, lay minister Kay Golan will continue the spirituality and aging class from 10:30 to 12:30, right here in the sanctuary. The class will be a deep dive into how wisdom gained from life experience provides fertile ground for a spiritual inquiry that our faith is known for. Join Kay Golan for what is going to be an incredible spiritual journey. More information, including a suggested reading list, is available on the calendar page of the UUCA website. Joy Knissern, is offering her gentle yoga classes twice this coming week. Once on Wednesday from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. and again on Thursday morning from 10 to 11. Both classes are held here in the sanctuary as well. On Thursday evening from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m., come to the sanctuary for the second part in a 5-part Tai Chi series offered by Furman Riley. I hope you'll plan to take advantage of all that our religious education program is offering. And now, please be sure to take this moment to put your cell phone in its most reverent position. Thank you. Once again, we're glad you're here on this beautiful morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. For those of y'all who don't know me, I'm Ayana Stringer. I'm specifically your youth ministries coordinator. And I'm here to assist in our time for all ages. So all of our children and youth, come on forward.
Welcome to you all. Y'all come on down now. And I'm Reverend Carlton E. Smith. I'm part of the congregational life staff for the southern region of our Unitarian Universalist Association, of which UUCA is a part. Good to see everyone today. Now, I understand that over these past several weeks, you've been talking about walls. Have you been talking about walls? A little bit? Lots of walls, all kinds of different walls. And so I thought what might be interesting for our For All Ages segment this morning is to do a little experiment, a little enactment of like what walls can and cannot do. And in the midst of this, we're going to be trying to pass a light, perhaps representing the light of our Unitarian Universalist faith. We're going to try to pass the light back and forth, but we're going to have to go through maybe a wall, maybe a fence, or maybe over a bridge in order to do that. Are you guys gang? And you're going to be the ones who make these walls and stuff. Okay, so Ayana, hook us up. Let's do the fence. Can we do the fence? So lots of fences have like spaces in between them. And so now we have this lovely fence. Now let's see if Ayana can get the light to me through the fence. Ayana, here's a microphone for you. I think the light got through. Now, most fences don't move when you try to get through them. Such is life sometimes. Now let's see what a wall might look like. Can you guys kind of squish together? Squish, 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 squish. Okay, now let's see if I can get the light over the wall, through the wall, over the wall. I think I can go over the wall. Now, Ayana, is there a way that you can get it back to me, even though we have this wall that separates us?
Maybe I could just go around.
Oh, around. Oh, okay. Okay, so the wall's not very good for that. Now, there's also the possibility that we could build bridges to help us actually make the connection, to get light, from one person to another. So Ayana's going to lay down our stream. And we're going to, I have to pretend first. I'm going to nail some boards down. I'm nailing boards down, nailing the boards down. Okay, nail down some boards. And now we're going to have a suspension bridge. And you guys
So if we could get on either side and create a bridge.
And we're going to go.
Enhance.
Yeah, London Bridge, yeah. Up, up, up. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to see if I can get the light over the bridge that we just built. Okay, let's see. Let's see. So yeah, sometimes we can be bridges that helps the light get across to people who need it the most, as in our Unitarian Universalist tradition. So we thank you so much for participating in this exercise. You can de-bridge yourselves now. Thank you for being willing to participate.
And all of the children and youth can follow me, and we're going to go to our RE classes.
We'll greet each other with a handshake, a hug, a wave, a high five, a do-si-do, whatever feels good.
Howdy, y'all.
I'll take high fives.
Hey, Julie. You weren't here this morning for this. Morning, James. Howdy, sir. Good morning, Bruce. You enjoy the concert?
Last Sunday, one of our youth came up and said, she wanted hug time to be longer. She said, can hug time just be longer? And I was like, it is in the second service. We've spent the last 5 weeks with this song, Some Walls, discussing how walls change our lives, what they're built out of, both metaphorical and real. We've been singing this song together. The chorus goes like this. If there's any hope for love at all, some walls must fall. Can we try it together? If there's any hope for love at all, some walls must fall. How will we ever know what might be found until we let those walls come tumbling down? If there's any hope for love at all, some walls must fall.
This reading is from the Tao Te Ching, written by Lao Tzu. It's the 46th chapter as translated by Stephen Mitchell. And we can think of the Tao as being the way. When a country is in harmony with the Tao, the factories make trucks and tractors. When a country goes counter to the Tao, warheads are stockpiled outside the cities. There is no greater illusion than fear, no greater wrong than preparing to defend yourself, no greater misfortune than having an enemy. Whoever can see through all fear will always be safe.
Some walls are made of stone. Sometimes we build our own. Some walls stand for years. Some wash away with tears. Some walls are lined with gold, where some hearts stay safe and cold. Some walls are made of doubt, holding in and keeping out. If there's any hope for love at all, some walls must fall. Some walls are built on pride. Some keep the child inside. Some walls are built on fear that love let go will disappear. If there's any hope for love at all, some walls must fall. And how will we ever know what might be found until we let these walls come tumbling down? If there's any hope for love at all, some walls. If there's any hope for love at all, some walls. If there's any hope for love at all, some walls must fall. Some walls, some walls, some walls.
This reading is the conclusion to an entry about the subject of wall, literally wall, the ancient history of walls in the Ancient History Encyclopedia. This was written by Joshua J. Mark. Walls have always served the same basic purpose and at the same time have always shared the same weakness. Anyone who really wants to get around a wall will find a way to tunnel under, go over, or walk around one, as we saw. The Great Wall of China was initially useless in stopping the nomadic cavalry of Xiongnu and only became a formidable structure, the formidable structure that it is today, many centuries later. As noted, Shugli-Abur's wall was easily breached by the Elamites simply by walking around it, and Hadrian's wall did little to stop illegal immigration, as evidenced by the Chaldean artifacts found amidst Roman pieces, suggesting Pictish merchants trading with or bribing Roman soldiers. No matter how pointless a wall might be in terms of defense or limiting access of the other to one's lands, walls have continued to be built and often fortified since Roman times in an effort to make the populace feel more secure. Like Hadrian's wall, walls in general are symbolic in marking one's space as one's own and limiting access to others by way of a physical statement in order to feel more secure. It has never seemed to occur to people that what they are walling out might be more beneficial than harmful to them in the long run, but human beings are notoriously short-sighted and largely fear-motivated, and so it is almost a certainty that walls will continue to be built, separating nation from nation and neighbor from neighbor on into the future without end.
Our music for meditation has what's called a melisma in it. A melisma is when there's many pitches on one note, and hymns usually don't have any melismas because it makes it easier to sing. But this melody is really beautiful. It's a Ray Vaughan Williams melody. So the last line has, can I have the key traps? Some are born in sweet delight. So that'll come around each time. Every night and every morn, some to misery are born. Every morn and every night, some are born to sweet delight. Joy and woe are woven fine, clothing for the soul divine.
Let us put hands on hearts. Feel the warm connection. Let love in this moment flow. Say to yourself silently, I will love myself. I will love others. And that love will heal the world. At this time, we hear the joys and sorrows of this congregation. Please keep Shirley Kendrick's son, John Kendricks, in your thoughts. John will have heart surgery at Piedmont Hospital on Monday, February 3rd. You are invited to say the names of people you are holding in your heart this morning. Speak their names into this holy space now. As humans have gathered for millennia, so we gather on this day to gently surrender to something beyond ourselves, to humbly acknowledge our mistakes, to ask forgiveness, to seek hope and renewal, to honor the earth that supports and sustains life, to remember that all beings are inextricably and mysteriously connected. Now we still our bodies and we still our minds. We take in a big breath, and then we exhale. We relax into the space that our intentions make sacred. We enter into the wise silence. Bless this congregation in all its joys and all its concerns. Amen.
It is right, it should be so. We were made for joy and woe, and when this we rightly know, safely through the world we go.
Like many of you, I came to UUCA seeking a community and congregation that espouse the values that I hold dear. A large part of the person I am was shaped by the early church experience that I had, where I found mentorship and opportunity. Later on, however, my personal beliefs led me to seek that same sense of community without all the trappings of the Southern Baptist and Pentecostal upbringing that I experienced. Another formative experience was my service as a Peace Corps volunteer in South Africa. One of the things I learned as a volunteer was the concept of Ubuntu. This is the belief that my existence is inexorably tied to the existence of others. The concept is summed up in the phrase, I am because you are. I am here because you are here. I share my concerns because you share your concerns. I am vulnerable in this space because you are. I weep because you weep. I give because you give. The importance of this community cannot be overstated given the times we live in. And this community needs your time, your energy, your passion, and yes, your financial support. Please give generously. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Which was 2 days ago. Since this is the very beginning of this year, the choir has been working on our Music Sunday major work, which Music Sunday is in 3 weeks from today. And we're doing a mass, a Unitarian mass called Missa Brevis pro Serveto, dedicated to Miguel Servetus, who was a UU martyr. It is a text, a Latin text, written by a contemporary UU minister. The text is like 5 years old. It was written in English and then translated into Latin. We get to approach the Mass in a really interesting way with nods towards our Christian roots, and yet a Mass that has a theology that we can all get behind. This is one movement from that Mass, the Sanctus movement. It says, great, the translation of the short text is, great is the earth and beautiful is our peace. Repeated over and over because those are two profound and meaningful statements.
Ubuntu. I am because you are. The concept of Ubuntu tells us that when we give to others, we're also giving to ourselves. So say it after me. I am because you are. May this gift go to bless many lives.
And now please join me in the dedication of the offering, the words which can be found on the screen or in your order of service. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action we call community, we dedicate our lives, and these are offerings. Thank you.
I'm so happy to be back here with you again. Your leaves are growing on the wall since the last time I was here. It's really a wonderful and beautiful thing. I want to take a moment just to express my appreciation to so many who have made it possible for me to be here and facilitated my being with you this morning. Ajip and our sound and technical crew, Darvis, Tony, Don, Travis, Ayana, Amara, the choir. I wish I was going to be here for the choir Sunday, but I'm not going to be here. And everyone else who's made it possible for me to be here, I thank you so much. And of course, Reverend Taryn, who extended the invitation for me to be with you today, and it's an honor and a privilege to be before you once again. And as I look out, and even this morning in the earlier service, I saw members of the UUCA board whom I've had a chance to work with, members and former members of the Mid-South District Board, people who have participated in our Southern Unitarian Universalist Leadership Experience, which I have the privilege of being one of the leaders of as a member of your Southern Region staff, and also people who have attended General Assembly. And it's just great to be back amongst family once again. I want to also acknowledge that this is the first Sunday of African American History Month, Black History Month. And so for everyone who's observing that, welcome. It used to be a week, but now we've expanded it to a whole month. And I hope that all of us will take the opportunity to make the connections between the history of African Americans in our country and our country's history more broadly and the impact that that's had around the globe. I know that we also bring concerns to this space about the state of our country and some of the challenges that we're facing now, the divisions amongst different folks inside of our nation. And my prayer is that we will be able to keep peace amongst us and be actually bearers of peace and light and love in the midst of these very challenging and different times, to say the least. So this morning I want to share with you an experience I had of a challenging and different time about 2.5 years ago. On the morning of Saturday, August the 12th, I was faced with a somewhat terrifying choice: stay inside the walls and live, or step outside the walls and face injury up to and possibly including death. You see, I had come to Charlottesville, Virginia, to be part of the clergy counter-protest to the so-called Unite the Right rally, which brought together white supremacist neo-Nazis and their sympathizers from all over the country to gather at the statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee at the heart of the city's Emancipation Park. We had come together to represent love, peace, and transformation in the midst of those who would have denied our very humanity. There were several Unitarian Universalists in that group of counter-protesters, including the president of our Unitarian Universalist Association, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray. We had heard Dr. Cornel West give a stirring sermon that morning at sunrise at the historic Mount Zion First African Baptist Church, just a few blocks down from where the Unite the Right rally was to take place. Mount Zion was the starting point for our counter-protest as clergy and other religious folks. That was Saturday. Now, the night before, Friday evening, we had been protected by church walls. There had been an interfaith prayer service sponsored by Congregate Charlottesville, a new progressive organization that was hosted by St. Paul Memorial Church, an Episcopalian congregation. I was moved that evening by the voices representing Baptist, Presbyterian, Episcopalian, Muslim, Unitarian Universalist, Jewish, and other communities of faith as we braced for the challenges and the choices that the next day would bring. At the end of that Friday night service, as we were about to exit, a voice came over the speaker system telling us not to leave the building just at that time. Outside, while we were praying and singing and communing with each other, hundreds of men with lit tiki torches had moved from their rallying point around the statue a few blocks away to just outside the church. About 20 minutes later, after the crowd outside had cleared, we were told it was okay to exit through the side door, not the front door that we had come in through. And so we did just that. We exited through the side door. While we were inside the building, we couldn't see what was happening out on the street, but the news reports that evening showed the scenes of the shouting, chanting men, faces made red and orange by their scowling and by the light of the torches that they bore. I reflect now, what if we had our interfaith service outside as they had had their rally outside that night? What if there had been no walls to protect us from the angry mob, no place to wait it out, and no side door to exit from when the coast was relatively clear? Again, that was Friday night at St. Paul, and then the next morning at sunrise at Mount Zion, we had our morning service in preparation for our nonviolent protest. In fact, I was wearing these two stoles that I'm wearing now, one that represents our Side with Love tradition in Unitarian Universalism, and this purple stole, which was given to those of us who were participating in the counter-protest. Now, the leader of that counter-protest was the Reverend Osagio Sekou, who's a tremendous singer and organizer. If you ever have a chance to hear him, I encourage you to do that. And he was the one who kept saying to us over and over again, if you step outside of this church, you are at risk of severe injury, up to and including death. And the more he said that, the more the crowd began to thin out, because not everybody had made the choice to sign on for that level of commitment on that day. And some of us indeed stayed. Now, there were about 30 of us left, and some of us were clergy, and some of us weren't. Some of us were people of color, some of us not. Some were older, some were younger. Some of us were LGBTQ and others not. We each had written the number of a contact person on our arm in the event that we couldn't do so for ourselves later. The start of our counter-protest was delayed. The plan was that we would get to a point once we got out onto the street where we would come to a restricted area that was reserved only for the people participating in the actual Unite the Right rally. At that point, the design was that we would be stopped by the police and then arrested by the police and taken away from the scene, having made our point of trying to get into the rally. It was the case, though, that the police, even though they had set up barricades before the rally, that they were not in place beside the rally, so there was no barrier actually between us and the rally itself. So we had to rearrange our plans. Reverend Sekou rearranged the plans so that we headed straight through the barricade and into the heart of the Unite the Right rally, surrounded by self-appointed and highly armed paramilitary security guards and those who had been outside the church the night before with their torches burning. As I speak to you in this moment, and from this example, you can see that walls don't necessarily live for me as complete abstractions or as complete absurdities. Under certain circumstances, walls can indeed protect us from harm and perhaps even save our lives. So we marched and we protested. At the point when the fascist and the anti-fascist clashed on the streets a few dozen yards away from where we were standing, we quickly disbanded and fled to a coffee shop 2 blocks away as we had planned originally. Reverend Susan and I went with the others to the coffee shop, and we just sort of chilled there for a moment. We were actually able to watch on the television screen what was happening on the street at the rally itself. And then after a while, we realized that we had some preparations to do for a service that we were going to be leading the next day at the Unitarian Universalist congregation there in Charlottesville. As we were in the rental car, Reverend Susan and I headed away from the scene, we saw our colleagues running out of the coffee shop back in the direction of where the rally had been. There was mass pandemonium and confusion all around. And at that moment, Reverend Susan looked at her phone to see what was happening, and we realized that that was the moment that one man, had plowed his car into the protesters, the counter-protesters at the Unite the Right rally, injuring several and actually killing Heather Heyer. There was no wall of protection between those counter-protesters and nothing to protect Heather Heyer. I wish that there had been something to protect her and those other protesters at the time. The police sirens and the ambulances blared, and rather than racing to the scene of the crime as our colleagues had, we kept driving away with the intention of making room for the emergency personnel to do their work rather than adding to the congestion there. As I was preparing for this service, it occurred to me to just ponder for a moment, where did we get walls from, and what is the ancient history of walls? Who built the first ones and why? Interestingly, I learned that the oldest walls known to us were built in southwest Turkey over 11,000 years ago. Walls to a temple, in fact, leading some to speculate that religion and worship predates civilization, and that cities were actually built around the spectacle of places of worship. Flashing forward some millennia, we have defensive city walls appearing in Mesopotamia, the walls around the city of Babylon around the 7th century before the Common Era, and the Great Wall of China, which wasn't completed until about 400 years ago. Walls within houses and cities date back some 7,000 years. And it's fascinating how it wasn't enough for us to put barriers between ourselves and neighboring city-states, but also between families inside city-states and ultimately between members within those families. There are ways in which we are vulnerable anytime we are out in public, in the movie theater, at a dance club, in an amusement park, at the grocery store, at our places of work, on the road or in the street, or even in this room right now. And it causes me to think about what are our protections, what are our barriers of protection in these circumstances. If you ever have a chance to visit the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum in Jackson, I highly recommend it. Might be a good thing to do during Black History Month. You'll have an opportunity to walk through many powerful exhibits with more information than you can possibly take in any single visit. I've been there a few times myself. One of the most memorable experiences was walking into a room that featured artifacts and photographs from the freedom rides across Mississippi back in the 50s and 60s, once public transportation, segregation in public transportation had become illegal. It was only after I was perhaps 20 feet into the room that I turned around, and there it was, a 3-story wall full of life-sized mugshots of hundreds of people who had been arrested in Mississippi for challenging segregation of public spaces. Some of those people are still with us today, perhaps in this very room. They were that wall for us. They were that hedge of protection against a future of unbridled brutality and inequality. I am so thankful for what they did in their time. Now, what they did begs the question, who is that wall now? Who is that wall now? Who is the barrier between the past and a future of unbridled brutality and inequality? I invite for your consideration that we are. We are that wall. The system, as it's been established, will continue to produce fear and fear mongers, hate and hate mongers. You might have noticed that there's a lot of money to be made by appealing to the need for security, protection, and predictability. The walls that we have the possibility of building are not physical. As we've established, physical walls are poor hedges against uncertainty and fear. The walls we build are the very substance of our lives. They are our daily actions, the ways we push back against cruelty, malice, and injustice, the ways we resist being silent and driven to the depths of despair, the ways we take care of ourselves and each other, and yes, the ways we put our reputations and our very lives on the line in moments when we are called to do so. As we stood in a line, we were actually kind of a wall, a fence in front of this statue, with all of this activity going around us that day in Charlottesville, we each had an opportunity to speak a prayer or a verse into the space. And when my opportunity came, the verse that came to mind was this from the Christian New Testament: perfect love casts out all fear. I'm a witness. Not everyone can be negotiated with. Sometimes, we'll put it this way, some people that I love them, but from a distance. Some people have little or no regard for human existence or feelings. Some people are raised and even trained to be that way. From day to day, there are some people I would choose not to be vulnerable around. Do I hate them? No, I don't. I think it must be very difficult to be filled with that much fear and to feel that alienated. I don't wish them harm. Do I want them behind bars or prison walls? Only if they pose imminent danger to themselves or to others. Mostly, I want them to disappear to a place that's safer for them, for me, and for others. I don't believe in war, and I don't have a lot of faith in physical walls. I believe in peace. I believe in love that casts out fear. It's love that causes us to be that wall, that hedge against a future of unbridled brutality and inequality. It's fear that causes us to build walls that separate us from ourselves and each other. We look to the ancients to understand something about the origin of walls, so too can we look to them to comprehend what keeps us at odds with each other. Here now, chapter 31 of the Tao Te Ching, written by Lao Tzu, who also wrote the earlier reading, and translated for modern times by Stephen Mitchell. Weapons are the tools of violence. All decent people detest them. Weapons are the tools of fear. A decent person will avoid them, except in the direst necessity, and, if compelled, will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is their highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can they be content? Their enemies are not demons, but human beings like themselves. They don't wish their enemies personal harm, nor do they rejoice in victory. How could they rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of others? They enter a battle gravely, with sorrow and great compassion, as if they were attending a funeral. We design weapons to fight wars and walls to defend against attacks, but we weren't designed for war or attacks. We were designed for connection, compassion, and community. For loving and using the power of our minds to imagine ways of being that optimize not just surviving, but thriving. And we can't survive or thrive sealed off from each other. If we are able to come to terms with our fears, We might be able to take down the walls, physical and psychological, that separate us. We might be able to move beyond those walls towards a place of peace and radical inclusion, which our faith, our liberal religious faith, proclaims. May we have the fortitude to live out our highest values, even if the results aren't realized in our lifetimes. And so it is. I have to offer an apology at this precise moment, because it says in your order service that our next song will be Do What Spirit Says Do. I changed that, so if you came to sing Do What Spirit Says Do, I apologize, it's my fault. Instead, we're gonna sing number 6, yes.
Will you join me in thanking Reverend Carlton Smith for being with us this morning? Such a joy to have you with us, my friend. And as he said, we called an audible, and our last hymn is number 6, Just As Long As I Have Breath. Please rise, in body or in spirit. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
I invite you to join hands or touch the person next to you as you're willing and able. These closing words are from my colleague, the Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Depart in peace. Assured love surrounds you everywhere you may go.